Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's webinar on Collect 365 with Professional Advantage. Presenting today, we do have Griffin Swanson over at Professional Advantage. So with that being said, I will hand things over to you, Griffin.
Awesome. Thank you, Allie, and thank you for the TM group for having Professional Advantage on here today. My name is Griffin Swanson. I am the Channel Product Manager here at Professional Advantage for our ISV add-ons as well as our Collect 365 add-ons. And that's what I'm going to be showing you here today is our Collect 365 add-on for Business Central. As you can see, I'm on my Business Central main screen here right now. I just want to preface a couple of things and then we'll dive into the demonstration. First and foremost, this is a pretty straightforward demonstration. Only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to get through this. What Collect 365 is, it's kind of I don't want to say it's a exact same product as our collections tool for GP, but that's what Microsoft wanted us to do. And so we developed a collections tool for Great Plains back in the late 90s. In the early 2000s, Microsoft actually took that product from us under an OEM agreement and included it as a core GP feature for almost a decade plus. And then in 2013, they did transition the module back to us. The story behind that being that it was so familiar with Microsoft, Microsoft reached out to us about 2 years ago now and basically asked us to make the exact same product for Business Central. Now, again, there are certainly going to be some things that look different, but the goal remains the same here. Collect on your past due and future receivables while centralizing all of your collection information. So what we're looking at here right now, the screen that I'm on, is the collection role center. Now in Business Central, we do have the settings tab here in the top right-hand corner. If I go to my settings, you can see here that I can set up the role that I want. There's a number of different roles that we can set up here in Business Central, but I'm particularly a collector here, which is opening up this collection role center. And this is really going to be the starting point or kind of the command center for all of your collectors and their collection activities. Now, first and foremost, you can see our collection activities here, along with some tabs that have our pending notes and overdue notes. And then we can actually see all of our overdue sales documents down here at the bottom. Now we're going to drill into this collection role center here a little more as the demonstration goes on, but we're going to go into each individual feature as well. And you're just going to see that everything kind of tailors back to this collection role center. Now, for starters here, first thing I want to show you guys is we do have this search engine in the top right-hand corner. If you type in Collect 365, you'll notice that we've set up our naming convention for the product to basically state exactly what our features do with our product name. So realistically, you could come in here, type in Collect 365 and see everything that we have to offer. Now, first thing that you guys are going to want to do is actually get some setup items. And what we've done is we've centralized that in one setup window. From here, you're going to be able to define your aging periods, user-defined query fields. You can set up your collectors from here, your collection letters, as well as your collector actions. Now, again, everyone, you're going to see these come into play as we go through the demonstration today. All right, so the first main feature that I want to show everyone is our Collect 365 hub. Now, I just mentioned that the role center that we were just on is kind of the starting point or command center. The collection hub is kind of if the role center is starting point A, this is going to be starting point B, because this really just gives you a high level overview of all of your customers. You can see that customer list here on the Collect 365 hub. You notice every time I select on a new customer here, I can see their payment statistics as well as their customer aging. Now, again, this just goes back to the aging buckets that you guys set up in the Collect 365 aging window. Now, these are all hyperlinked, as you can see here. We're going to drill into this a little bit further as we get into one of these customers. But you notice we have some tabs at the top of the window as well. So we can manage these customers by viewing into them individually. We can communicate from this window by sending off an email or creating a note. I can navigate to the Collect 365 hub or their customer card. And then I can also assign these customers to a specific collector or actually convert their emails to notes. And you can do that on an individual basis as well. Again, you'll kind of see that throughout the demonstration. Last thing here is you could print a collection summary report. Now, often a lot of questions I get is there a lot of reporting within Collect 365? We're very compatible with third-party reporting. So if you're using that within Business Central, it's going to work against our data as well. But being that Collect 365 is still relatively new to Business Central, we don't have a lot of reporting set up today, but we're only going to enhance this product going forward and start to add things like that. But let's drill into one of these customers individually here. Being that I'm on the School of Fine Art, we'll just stick with that. And the first thing you're going to notice here is it pulls open some of that customer's general information. Now, I'm not going to go through these individually here, but you can see it is the customer. I can see the collector or who the collector is for that customer. I can see their credit limit, balance and balance that are due, as well as some other payment statistics. Now I can see the contacts for that customer here as well, particularly the people that we're working with or collecting from for that company. And then I can see all of the active collection notes. And we're going to show you how to set up these notes in just a few minutes. But I do want to drill into these payment statistics and customer aging here. Again, these are all hyperlinked, so I can see the average days to pay for this customer, average days to pay from last year. So you can kind of compare and contrast the two. Is the customer better paying customer this year, or are they taking a little longer to make their payments? I can see the last payment date they made and the payment amount for that. Then I have the customer aging buckets down here at the bottom. Again, all hyperlinked, so I can drill into these. Let's do 31 to 60. And so what this does is it pulls open a customer ledger entry window. Now that is core Business Central, but we are very compatible with these customer ledger entry windows in BC. You notice for each invoice that I select, it's going to pull open their customer ledger entry details off to the right-hand side. If you wanted to, you can absolutely review those invoices and the total amount, as well as the line items. Again, core Business Central, but we want to make sure that you can review those items. And then if you wanted to, you could select multiple invoices from here as well. And all I'm doing is clicking the Control tab on my keyboard when selecting them in bulk. Now from this window here, we do have this Actions drop down. If you scroll all the way to the left-hand side, you notice there's a number of different things that we can do with these invoices. But what I want to focus in on here is what we've creating a Collect 365 task. So you can see here, it's going to create a collection task. When you select that, by default, it's going to pull open that customer number. We can select a task type here, so you can set up these tasks in advance, or maybe just say here, all right, we're testing with the customer today on a demonstration. You notice you can create those on the fly if you wanted to as well. Let's go ahead and just assign this to myself as the admin. And then we'll go to today here. I'll choose for next Friday as a due date. Testing with TM, and we'll just put test. All right, so I'm going to finish this note up here. And then we're going to go back to the Collect 365 hub. And I'm going to type in this task window here. All right, so we type in Collect 365, that naming convention. I can see here we have a task window. And so this is going to pull open. You can see the task that we just created here, testing with TM. And I notice all of the tasks that I really need to follow up on. And so what I like to call this is kind of your quick task list to work through. There's not a whole lot of detail in here. You just know that you need to send out a reminder letter to the School of Fine Art, or maybe you need to make a phone call to Trey Research. So it's just quick little reminders for you to follow up on that customer. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, well, as great as a quick little task list is, what if I want to put more information on here? What if I want to attach invoices to these follow-ups? That's why we've created the Collect 365 notes. So up here at the top left-hand corner, you have the ability to communicate directly to this customer by sending them an email or creating notes for that particular customer. So let's go ahead and create a note here. Now I notice I have one note open right now for this customer. What I can do is I can always drill into this note here and review those details and see where they're at, as well as the invoices that are attached. But you notice here, everyone, if I try to click on any of this, which I am doing. You obviously can't see, but I am trying to click on this here right now, and I can't change anything. That is by default. And that's because the way that Business Central is set up today is it doesn't really have any saving functionality. You notice there's no save button here at the top. But what it does instead is every time you drill back out of the note, everything is automatically saved. We didn't want your notes automatically updating every time you're just reviewing the note in and itself. But let's say you do want to edit something on this note here. If you do that, you're going to click this edit button in the top left-hand corner. But notice, everyone, you're going to see this note revision change, and that's just going to be the increments of when an existing note is edited, as you can see via the definition. If I edit this, we're now on note revision 16, but all of these fields do open up here that allow me to change this. So I just put some little change there, and then we close out of this. I'm still on note revision 16. Now you might go, okay, well, what if I want to look back at some of these note revisions, right? Maybe there was something that changed a month ago and I need to know why. Or maybe one of your collectors changed something on the note and you want to see what they changed. You notice here we have some tabs at the top of this note window. If you include your old revisions, it's going to show you that revision list here. Now, we didn't want to do that by default because obviously we want to be, showing you the latest note that you have changed. But again, should you need to note or change something, for example, you notice it went from special action to a reminder, you might want to go, okay, why did that change at that time? You can drill back into that historical note and review it from there. Well, let's go ahead and create a new note. So by default, it's just going to open up all of these fields here. So the contact date, we'll just leave that as today. I'll set an action ID. We'll just test with the partner here today. I'll set a follow-up date for, instead of next Friday, I'll do the 26th. Testing with TM. Test for partner and customers. All right, so we put a little note in there, and then maybe I want to add some invoices to the bottom of this note as well. It's as simple as clicking this attach documents button here. That's going to show all of the open notes, or excuse me, invoices for that particular customer. So we can see School of Fine Art. Again, if I want to select multiple invoices here, all I need to do is click the Control tab on my keyboard and select those from there. I'll click OK. And then I notice the invoices down at the bottom of this note. So we drill back here. I can see I now have 2 notes for this particular customer, but I actually want to drill all the way back to the collection roll center here as well. You notice nothing has changed since we first started this demonstration. But if I click F5 here, which is going to refresh my page, you notice we have some new notes here. 2 new notes actually, because we revised the original note that was already there. And then we've created a new note here as well. So again, everything kind of centralizes back to this collection roll center because we want to make sure that you can follow up on all of your collection activities from this window without having to drill back into each individual customer and see their collection tasks or follow-up items. But let's drill back into that Collect 365 hub. One more thing I want to show you from this window. We'll stick with the School of Fine Art here today. Is how to send a one-off email. So let's say we want to send some customer some of their past due invoices, or even it's just as simple as communicating with the customer. Maybe you just want to touch base with where they're at on payment or see how they're doing as a company. Whatever that may be, you have the ability to send a one-off email from this window here. Now, by default, we're going to copy over their general information. I can see their balance that is due here as well. And then we have these letter formats. And so if any of you are familiar with the collection management module we have for GP today, we have the ability to set up what we call collection letters. And these collection letters can easily be created for sending to your customers as an email. Basically, they're an email template, if you will. Letters is kind of an older term, but that's what it is. When you use Collect 365, we give you 2 Collect 365 letters by default, the initial letter and the overdue letter. But I'm going to show everyone how to set these letters up here in just a few minutes. Let's choose the initial letter here for this example. And then you also have the ability to attach invoice copies by selecting this button here. Once you do that, it's going to open up this checkbox here down at the bottom of this email window for that particular customer. All you need to do is select the invoices that you want to attach. Now let's create this email here. Takes just a quick minute. All right, and then what we do here is we give you the ability to edit this if you want to. By default, we're going to pull up in the primary email address for that customer, but if you wanted to, you could add in another email address in here as well. And then you also have the ability to actually search for those email addresses. I don't have a bunch of contacts set up within my demo environment here, but should you have those set up in Microsoft Dynamics 365, you're going to be able to pull open those email addresses here for that customer. I can then see the message or the email template that we selected here, the initial letter. So I can see and review that verbiage. And we've added the ability to include some logos and things here in Business Central, not something you were able to do in JP. And then we just kind of give you this little editing bar here down at the bottom as well, if you want to get fancy with your collection letters. We then have those invoices that we selected down here at the bottom. I can review these if I want to before those get sent out to the customer. We'll then send this email to the customer, and I've already done that here today. But let's just say we're not ready to send this email, right? Maybe we want to discard this draft or just go, you know what, I'm not ready to send it here at this moment, but I do want to keep it in my email outbox. You have the ability to do that as well. Now, once you send that email, this is what it's going to look like from the customer side of things. You can see those invoices are attached as PDFs. Your customer is obviously going to be able to drill into that and review those PDFs. And then you can see the verbiage within here as well. But let me show you how to set up those collection letters. Let's type in that naming convention here at the top. Now I can certainly do that from the setup window, but the letters are such a focus feature of collections management and Collect 365. We wanted to kind of add that its own individual feature as well. So you do have the ability to create that from here. Again, we're going to give you two letters by default, the initial letter and the overdue letter. But if you have the ability here to actually add new letters as well. And so you can see here, there's a handful of templates that you can work with. Just to keep things simple here today, let's stick with the collection theme. I'm going to choose overdue letter. And what these allow us to do here, let's choose overdue letter again. I can actually export this. And what that does is it exports it into a Microsoft Word document. As you can see, that's downloading here. And then I have the ability to actually edit this. So if I wanted to, I can type in customer verbiage here. Thank you for your time today, whatever that may be. It's all open text fields here, but anybody can, write a collection letter. What we wanted to do is give you some fields to work with as well. So if you go to this developer tab here, you click in design mode and you go to the XML mapping pane. You notice here we have some different schemas off to the right-hand side. So you notice here we can actually enter these fields right within that collection letter. And you can see I obviously have some of those fields already in here, but if you wanted to add some different ones, all you need to do is change within these different schemas of Collect 365 and do that. So you have all the freedom in the world to create your collection letters as you feel fit. It's certainly something we see customers do kind of over time, but it really cuts down on the time you actually have to spend collecting from customers. Rather than having to manually type out an email, these emails are ready for you in advance. They have all of the invoice details that you're looking for, so you can just simply select the collection letter that you want to work with, attach your invoices, and send that off to the customer. All right, now let's hop back to the collection role center here. There's one more feature that I want to show everyone today, and that is building a query. All right, so we have the Collect 365 customer queries down here at the bottom. You do have the ability to filter your queries. The reason I bring that up here right away is because oftentimes there's more than one collector for a customer, right? And even if you are an individual collector yourself, oftentimes you're creating more than one query. Once you have those queries created, those are things that you're going to be using not only once, but multiple times. And so if you have multiple queries created, this will allow you to filter by those as well. That's just kind of a quick thing that I like to mention, because I actually just got off a demonstration with a customer that said, yeah, we have, 3 dozen queries. We want to be able to filter those versus having to go through them individually, which obviously makes sense. Now, if you want to create a new query, you can do so from scratch at the top of this window. I'm going to drill into one that I've already created here though. And so you can see here, the first thing that we're doing is we're searching for the customer general information. And really what this does is it just has some general query details. I can see the last time this data was refreshed. So it's been almost a month here since I've refreshed this one. I can see the time I refreshed that as well. I can see if I ever modified it as well. And then if a different collector came in and modified my query, all you would need to do then is refresh the query data, click yes, and you notice here, this has now been updated. Again, the reason we do that is because often these queries are being used more than once. So obviously I hadn't refreshed that in almost 20 something days. Odds are there's some things that have changed, or maybe some new customers that now meet the criteria within that query. So again, we just want to provide some of those general details. But then we're getting into the customer filters here. So I can focus in on a specific customer. I can focus in on a specific collector, and that's actually what I've done with this query, saying, show me all of my customers as the admin collector. I can focus in on a salesperson or territory. I can exclude customers with recent payments. I can sort by a specific balance that's due, or if a balance exceeds its credit limit. We also have these document filters down here at the bottom. We can include closed documents, overdue documents, and entries on hold. And then I have the ability to sort and filter by an aging period, document type, or a document date. So I chose aging period here, and maybe you just come in and say, okay, I want to find all my customers who meet within the 31 to 60 aging buckets, or customers who are 91 plus days past due. You have the ability to do that as well. Now, the document dimension filters here, this is very industry specific. We've seen it particularly with our staffing customers. I haven't really seen it on, I guess, outside of that industry used, but just want to mention that it is available should you be using that in Business Central. Now, once you have your query results and restrictions set here, you're going to click on this results button here at the top. And I noticed that 4 customers actually meet my restrictions. Each customer that I select on here, you notice the documents or invoices for that customer change at the bottom. Now I can select multiple customers from here as well. Maybe you're a new customer to Collect 365, right? And you want to assign the customers in bulk to your collectors versus having to assign each customer to a collector one by one. This would allow you to do that here, assigning those to a collector in bulk. You can also communicate from this window here as well. You can send an email or create a note for that particular customer, and then you can always drill into their Collect 365 hub and customer card from here too. With that being said, everyone, that is actually going to wrap up the Collect 365 demonstration today. Like I said, it is a very short and sweet demonstration. We've had 2 releases of the module so far. We're hoping to get out another release here before year end, but we are working through some new things as well that we want to add to the functionality. There's a lot of growth here for Collect 365. Really, our goal with these first 2 releases was to ensure that you can at least do your day-to-day collecting and centralize your customers' collection information. And through the Collect 365 hub, this role center here, the emailing notes and query functionality, we believe we were able to accomplish that. And we have customers doing their day-to-day collecting with Collect 365 today, but you can expect some automated functionality in the future, as well as some littler features such as the reporting, as well as just some customer suggested features. The future of Collect 365 is bright. Like I said, you're kind of just seeing, an early release of this, but Microsoft has a really good plan for us, and we plan to follow that and attack it as soon as we can. But with that being said, Allie, that wraps up my part.
Awesome. Thanks again, Griffin, for presenting today. Thanks everybody for attending the webinar. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Allie.